In recent years, the world has experienced many significant technological changes that have altered our perceptions on things both socially and intellectually. These technological advancements have changed the way we think about and interpret writing, as well as how we use writing in our everyday lives. Factors such as mass amortization, the idea of publishing then filtering, and the accessibility of information contribute to the death of writing as we know it. New media technologies such as Tumblr, Twitter, and Weebly have made it easier than ever for people to create content and share it with massive audiences with little to no cost or risk. But because of the ease of content creation, audiences have higher expectations for the creators. Writers must produce large quantities of work to satisfy their audience. Previously, this would mean going to editors, fixing mistakes, going back to editors, fixing more mistakes, and so on and so forth until a work was complete enough to be sent out for publication and distribution. Now, however, writers can publish their work at the click of a button, no editors required. Shirky calls this method publish then filter. He says, in a world where publishing is effortless, the decision to publish something isn't terribly momentous. Just as movable type raised the value of being able to read and write even as it destroyed the scribal tradition, globally free publishing is making public speech and action more valuable, even as its absolute abundance diminishes the specialness of professional publishing. For a generation that is growing up without the scarcity that made publishing such a serious-minded pursuit, the written word has no special value in and of itself. In short, the ease of publishing has allowed for quantity to take precedent over quality. This produces a dilemma for writers. If the quality of the work doesn't match the quantity, and how can it with this method, then writers begin to lose credibility and readership. Why must writers take to this route of distribution? New literary mediums like online newspapers and blogs have been proven to manipulate the attention spans of users, causing them to be unable to focus on one piece of writing for more than a few hundred words. Nicholas Carr explains his struggle with the phenomena, stating, "Immersing myself in a book or a lengthy article used to be easy. My mind would get caught up in the narrative or the turns of the argument, and I'd spend hours strolling through long stretches of prose. That's rarely the case anymore. Now my concentration often starts to drift after 2 or 3 pages. I get fidgety, lose the thread, begin looking for something else to do. I feel as if I'm always dragging my wayward brain back to the text. The deep reading that used to come naturally has become a struggle." This change in the way we think can be attributed to the massive amounts of advertisements we are exposed to daily, the need for short, succinct content, and the belief that time is not only valuable, but that it is limited. Sherry Turkle talks about how this inability to hold one's attention to one topic at a time has trickled into our interpersonal skills.
People text or do email during corporate board meetings. They text and shop and go on Facebook during classes, during presentations, actually during all meetings. People talk to me about the important new skill of making eye contact while you're texting. People explain to me that it's hard, but that it can be done. Parents text and do email at breakfast and at dinner, while their children complain about not having their parents' full attention, but then these same children deny each other their full attention.
But this idea isn't unique to writing and new media technologies. This attention deficit can be traced back to older forms of technology such as television and film. As Neil Postman points out, the world is mapped by the speeded up electronic media, has no order or meaning, and is not to be taken seriously. There is no murder so brutal, no earthquake so devastating, no political blunder so costly, that it cannot be erased from our minds by a newscaster saying, "Now this." As Postman illustrates, media outlets can be taxing on our attention spans, causing audiences to constantly be moving between media in search of a more gratifying experience than the last. As a result, writing has become shorter, more succinct, and abbreviated beyond recognition. Character counts dictate what is written, how it is written, and whether or not it can be consumed by others. Text is hyperlinked so more interested readers can seek out additional information, while others go uneducated, unable to strain their attentive capacity to absorb an additional few sentences. Because writing must be succinct and shareable, many writers' work have been adapted, changed, and otherwise manipulated as more people respond to what is written via new media technologies. In other words, it's easier for readers to copy and paste original works to appear as their own in the digital age. In 1990, 1992, and 1995, Donald McCabe did a case study with almost 7,000 undergraduate students to see how significant of a problem plagiarism is on college campuses. Results indicate that almost 80% of respondents from 26 small to medium-sized colleges admitted to cheating at least once during their college career. Results also indicated that at 31 small to medium-sized colleges between 1990 and 1995, the proportion of students admitting inappropriate collaboration on work increased from 30 to 38%. A more dramatic increase in the proportion of students admitting inappropriate collaboration on work is seen when research results separated by 30 years are considered. Results for 9 medium to large state universities from 1963 to 1993 indicate that the proportion of students admitting inappropriate collaboration increased from 11% in 1963 to 49% in 1993. While writers do face the risk of being plagiarized more frequently in the digital world, many take advantage of the technology by co-authoring works via new media channels. Communication between authors has become easier to maintain, so more people can work together to produce content. However, this changes people's perception on what it means to be an author. Furthermore, the ease and availability of content to the intended audience warps people's ideas of what constitutes as stealing and what is sharing. Since the lines between stealing and sharing are so blurred in the eyes of current legislation, more creators are stifling their creativity for fear of being punished for their work. There is a vast amount of creative work spread across the internet, but as the law is currently crafted, this work is presumptively illegal. That presumption will increasingly chill creativity as the examples of extreme penalties for vague infringements continue to proliferate. With so many factors of new media weighing against writing, it's difficult for one to see how it can survive in the digital era. However, some remain positive. Best-selling author and journalist Malcolm Gladwell sees all the forms of communication such as Facebook, Twitter, and email as modes of writing, claiming we are a generation of readers and writers unlike any seen before.
All people do is either listen to writing, write, or read. I mean, you walk down the street or listen to music, which is a form of listening to writing, right? It's this sort of odd thing that we are living in an age in which words have triumphed. And so that's kind of exhilarating for someone who's in the words business. It's also exhilarating to figure out new ways of getting words to people.
Gladwell's comments on the triumph of the written word link to Turkle's experiences with networked individuals. We are all connected to each other through the words and content we create for others to consume. And since we are all connected to each other in different ways, our stories need to span over multiple mediums to keep our audience's attention. Henry Jenkins discusses the ways in which storytelling and writing must change in order for it to continue to be successful. In his book, Convergence Culture, Jenkins describes transmedia storytelling as a possible avenue for writers to take. A transmedia story unfolds across multiple media platforms, with each new text making a distinctive and valuable contribution to the whole. In the ideal form of transmedia storytelling, each medium does what it does best, so that a story might be introduced in a film, expanded through television, novels, and comics. Its world might be explored through gameplay or experienced as an amusement park attraction. However, not all stories can be successful as a transmedia entity, leaving some stories unable to cross over into the new media age. With the advent of new technologies, writing and our ideas of what it means to be an author have changed considerably. Once a convoluted process involving many drafts, editors, and publishers, writing has now become as easy as the click of a button to distribute to mass audiences. Because the audience is so large, and because the massive information flow has become so intimidating, writers have been forced to conform to a shorter, more succinct format in order to maintain readership. Furthermore, the ease of sharing puts writers more at risk for plagiarism, as copying and pasting without crediting the creator is popular on the web. The ease of sharing also makes co-authorship easier to achieve, distorting our views of the writer as a lone individual. With writing changing so much with the flow of technology, it's difficult to ascertain what it will look like in the future. Will it be the transmedia storytelling described by Jenkins? Or will the constant need for instant gratification cause writing to adopt more visual and audio components until it is no longer considered writing at all? One thing is for certain, writing is changing. Whether or not it survives the change is up to the readers to decide.